Um, you know, have you have you seen Brad? Did he call you? Did he anything going on in his life that would preclude him from being here?
He told me that he found Eden Hazard on an island off of Greece, and he was going to see if he could get a picture with him.
Oh, maybe he's gonna bring it back to Chelsea. We'll have to find out. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from two friends this week. Support different clubs. The North London edition of Red Card Radio. My name is James. I support Arsenal. That guy over there on the other side of me, normally beneath me, but on the same plane as me today, is Sean. He supports Tottenham. Hello. How you doing?
It's just good to be back up on the upper echelon.
Yeah, man.
Right where Spurs should be, just right next to Arsenal.
but not above Arsenal though.
Nope. On this particular iteration, we are at this point of the season, we are level on points, and we are level on our cameras.
It's funny because it's funny that you said that. I was just scrolling through Wikipedia, and apparently this year Tottenham will start in 18th position, based on name, because they do it alphabetically. So apparently,
we are level on points with the leaders. So.
Actually, I think is Bournemouth still up? Yeah. So AFC Bournemouth is the.
I got a random tangent that I should have asked
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Bournemouth came up last year, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, because they've been up. So that'll play later when we do. We've got a segment, but yeah, I was questioning that because Bournemouth was up for a while before they went down and then came right back up. So I was questioning myself of if I was almost certain that Bournemouth came back up.
But yeah, they were up for 1 or 2 years, maybe 3.
Yeah, it was 3 or 4. They were
okay.
Up for.
They were up for a couple years, and then they went down.
Eddie Howe had them up, then was fired. I think it was. Yeah, I think you're right. 3 or 4 years, and then they fired Eddie Howe and went down.
I think they went down with Eddie Howe, and then they fired Eddie Howe. I think Eddie Howe got them relegated. Anyways,
all right. Short tangent.
Yeah, so what we've got for you guys tonight, we're going to look at the finals in the FA Cup and the Europa League. That's where we're going to start. We're going to finish. So we're gonna bookend with football. We've got the Champions League between City and Inter, and the Conference League between Fiorentina and West Ham. That we're going to talk about both those games. For you guys who are listening today as this releases, Fiorentina and West Ham will be taking place on Wednesday, so you don't want to miss that. But in the middle, we're going to talk, we've had some manager appointments in London specifically for both Chelsea and Spurs that we need to talk about. I see something here that says something about Seanstradamus, so we might have some prognostication, some future telling.
500 level IQ.
We'll have to see.
Future prediction.
And then we have another point on here about Saudi Arabia, because apparently they're buying everything. And so we might get to them. We might not. We'll see. But to kick it off, before we get too deep, if you can hit that subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell if you are on YouTube, if you're on one of the podcast sites, hit it with a follow, leave a 5-star review if your platform so allows it. Drop a comment on YouTube. We'd love to hear from you guys. Join our Discord. It's in the description. That's a great way to interact, especially over the summer. And then the final housekeeping note for this week for Red Card Radio. This is the only episode we're releasing this week. We've only got one for you. We don't want to bog you down with, pointless things over the next couple days, because there's not a whole lot going on right now, not too much going on. So this is the only one you need to listen to. So this is the only one you need to share with a mother or a brother. So please do those things. But so let's finish out the domestic campaign in England. We had the Football Association Cup final between Manchester City and Manchester United. This was the first Manchester derby FA Cup final. They had met in the semifinal before twice, but never in the final against each other. And so it was Pep's City Blues against Ten Hag's Red Devils. There we go. City win the game 2-1. 2 goals from Ilkay Gundogan cancel out a Bruno Fernandes penalty. And This game also saw the fastest goal ever scored in a FA Cup final. Ilkay Gundogan's first goal was 13 seconds into the first half. So I don't.
And a wonder goal, a
Oh
one-time
my!
volley.
It
Just
was. It was the most. So this is the most like prototypical City goal. Like route A, the ball is back to the keeper. He just launches it up. Haaland gets ahead on it, and Kevin De Bruyne and Luke Shaw both go up to try and head the ball, and the ball just kind of falls to Ilkay, and he just like one times half volley, just slicing away from De Gea. Impossible for him to save. It was a beautiful goal.
It's just like one of those shots you can't coach that.
No.
Either you have it or you don't, and that's technique. That's 15 years of being coached of how to strike the ball coming out. You can't coach that. You can't take someone right now to the park and teach them how to do that.
And on top of it, it's the audacity, perhaps,
the idea to even have it,
to like even just like get the ball in that position and strike it, like being willing to take that first time is. And what's nice about it is that it's like it kind of exemplifies why so many teams want to sign Gundogan. It's like City want Gundogan to stay. Arsenal want to sign Gundogan. Apparently, Saudi Arabia wants to spend a lot of millions on to bring him to Saudi Arabia. So like this guy is quite the baller, and he still is quite the baller. Even we can see that even at 32, he has something to offer.
Yeah, and the penalty was struck clean from Bruno. So
can we talk about that penalty though? Because the awarding of the penalty was insane.
I don't.
So okay, but so my biggest issue with it is that it happens on the pitch, and so I forget which United player like heads the ball, and Grealish has like tried to head the ball, it goes over his head, and the United player is trying to play it back across, and like Grealish's arm is up and it hits his hand, and like he is so close to the play, he has just tried to head a ball and missed it. Like, what is he supposed to do with his hand? The claim was that after he like settled his body, he raised his hand a little bit. I just think it's absurd. And the fact that it took VAR like over close to a minute, if not over a minute, to get who was it? Paul Tierney, I think it was, to get Paul Tierney to go to the monitor and look at it is just, it's one of those ones where it's like, I feel like the VAR had to look at that so many times to even decide that they thought it was a penalty. And it just is. It seems so soft.
By definition, it is an unnatural position, and the ball hit the. Like, you're not going to get sympathy from me on finals, on handballs in the box.
But I'm not even
Stokoe 2018.
I'm not even sure.
Champions League final.
I'm not even sure.
You're not going to get sympathy from me. If that's technically a handball, Liverpool fans, by definition, so is this.
But I'm not even sure that his arm was in an unnatural position. Like, he has just jumped to head the ball, and like
a natural position would be at the hips.
Okay.
Of course, you don't jump like this. You don't jump like this.
No,
like a penguin.
Yeah, could you imagine? Have you ever played? When you used to play FIFA and you had scored a goal, did you ever do the dead fish celebration, where you'd run up and you'd keep your arms in, and the player would just jump on the ground and like flop around? Like, yeah, that would be like what you're expecting people to do. They'd be dead fishing to try and get the ball.
No, you reach up and you throw your arms down and an effort to get, like that's how you jump.
All right, man.
But so. Yeah, essentially, by rule, I can't be mad at the call. They got it right. It's an unnatural position. You want to argue the semantics of the rule, and you want to argue the rule, then we can do that. But they got it right.
I do think that we need to have, it needs to be a point of emphasis or something like that over the summer. Like, we need to have some more clarity around handballs and what constitutes a penalty. I think there needs to be
How
more.
about hitting the webbing of your armpit?
That should not be a
What?
penalty.
Oh yeah, like in the Champions League final. I'm still butthurt. All right. It hit right here.
Oh, but no, I think English football would be good. It would be good for English football to get some clarity around handballs. Um, so,
Speaking of speaking of English-born refs that
oh
didn't make a
man,
lot of great decisions,
oh man, I know where you're going with this.
they barely made it. Where they were in Maripol? Where were
Bu-
they?
Bucharest, I don't Budapest, maybe Budapest. I
I
think.
thought they were in Maripol. Either way, the Euro final saw some interesting decisions out of a English ref.
One and not any English ref. It's Brad's favorite English ref, the one and only,
The one and
the
only.
one and only Anthony Taylor.
There was about 17 yellows, no reds, including Jose Mourinho with his patented manager yellow.
Did he get? Did he, oh no, he got a. Oh yeah, I mean he deserved that. It was
He
in.
tried. He tried to. He was trying to meet. He was trying to meet Anthony Taylor outside the ref's locker room for fisticuffs.
And then he met him in the car park. He finally met him in the car park.
Oh, that's where it was. It looked like it was underneath the stadium. It looked like outside of a locker room. But yeah, car park makes sense. Yeah,
Well,
not happy.
So we could talk about that non-call. So what Jose is most mad about was a Roma player put a cross in, and the Sevilla player. I'm gonna stand up and walk away from my microphone slightly, but like his arm was out a little bit. It was still down by his side, but it was out a little bit, and it struck his arm. And the Anthony Taylor wanted nothing of it, and the VAR wanted nothing of it, and Sevilla ultimately went on to win the game in penalties. So commiserations to Jose Mourinho, and commiserations to Red Card Radio, and that our pick for the Europa League, climbing the ladder, didn't happen.
Yeah, well, with that result, with Jose not winning, now we just need to get all Italian teams to lose. Now let's just get the opposite result.
Well, so it was funny because like when there was an opportunity for all of the Italian teams to win, and it would have been a meme against you, I was all for it, with the exception of Inter, because I don't like Inter. But now that Roma has lost, I want West Ham to now win the Conference League. I was rooting for Fiorentina before, but now I definitely want West Ham to win.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like it seems. Well, apparently UEFA is investigating Anthony Taylor, and they're like, maybe investigating is like a harsh word, but like there's rumors, and who knows if these are just like football Italia rumors, but like there's rumors that UEFA generally agrees with the Roma frustrations around the penalty call, and that they kind of think that Anthony Taylor. Apparently, we shouldn't be surprised if Anthony Taylor doesn't get any more major European finals in his career. Now, the note that we need to make about Anthony Taylor was that the fact that his wife and his daughter were surrounded in the airport in Budapest was abhorrent.
Despicable. Despicable. You can't do that.
I think like, you could have strong words against somebody. I think you could, like, as he's walking by, being like, Anthony Taylor, you are a bad referee. And like you could say, like, I think you can have words as long as your voice isn't raised and as long as you're not walking towards him at all. But the minute you start to surround him and a chair gets lobbed at them, that's unacceptable at that point.
It's despicable. Like, no, I don't have a bad day at work and then people accost my family after. Right. Like, it's like there's like, think about it in your perspective. Think about, like, you had a bad day at the office and you ended up breaking the printer, and all of a sudden you need to like get security for your daughter to get to school because you had a bad day at work. Like, it's absolutely obscene and despicable.
I'm surprised at two levels. The first level is that apparently UEFA just is flying these people flying referees into these places on just like regular ass airplanes, and like they just are rocking up through the terminal. Like that already seems like a mistake, right? That just it like at a baseline that seems like that could be a potential
Well,
problem.
well, maybe not for Feyenoord and Young Boys away in October.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you can fly coach for that one. But yes, you're absolutely right. Like the Euro final, maybe get them a little private jet
I mean,
situation.
like,
Like
I'm not even.
we can make this happen. You
Well, it
know?
doesn't even have to be a private jet, but like the fact that he's just like rocking up through the terminal with like literally everyone else, like and like
Yeah.
there's always like especially the
All the
day.
other fans, like they're flying out of the same airport that you.
And it's not like they're flying out after the match because the match started at like 9:45, so like they're gonna be there
Yeah.
overnight, and then you're just getting like all of the frustration is funneled into one place. Like that seems like a mistake.
Even just like I don't know what day it was, but like give your boy Anthony Taylor a day in Budapest. Like,
Yeah, like
you're,
yeah,
second night's on us, buddy.
yeah,
Like,
right.
enjoy Hungary.
Do a sightseeing tour or something like that,
Yeah,
or like
stay inside.
or like
By the way,
put him on the train to Paris or something like that overnight, and then let
yeah,
him fly from Paris. Like, it just seems really really weird. But yeah, so that's how that ends. I think we were all hoping to see Roma win, but we shouldn't have been surprised because Sevilla is literally the most prolific Europa League team in existence.
what's
Like,
it 11 now?
well, I think they have 11 European titles, but I think that was their 7th Europa League title. Or like Europa or UEFA Cup, which is what it used to be called. I think that's what the number is, but they just don't lose it. They just don't lose it. So if ever you are playing against Sevilla in the Europa League final, just you're not winning. It's just not happening. So just give up. You can't let them get to the final. Let's turn our attention to these manager situations. So Chelsea famously were looking for a manager since they sacked Graham Potter in February or whatever it was. It was never going to be Frank Lampard, and officially, I think it was like the day after the season ended. I think we mentioned it last week, but we're also going to mention it here. Mauricio Pochettino has been appointed as the Chelsea first team coach. I think it's like a 3 or 4 year deal. I don't remember specifically how long it is. But as someone who is familiar with his game, you think he's going to do well at Chelsea?
That'd be fine. That was a little flat on analysis. I'm not going to be invited to be the next host of First Take on FS1, but
we might need to invite Shannon Sharp to be the next guest.
Yeah,
the next
Shannon Sharp's available. Maybe we can
permanent member of the Red Card Radio punditry team.
Yeah. No, I said from the beginning. When this was first rumored, I said, Brad, this is a good choice. Like, memes aside, like, we can joke on Spurs for never winning. We can joke on Pochettino for having to go to Paris and the best team and oil money and all that to get his trophy. But I mean, you take it back from the start. You know, I don't know. I don't claim to know his entire managerial history, but he goes to Southampton, and who knows how much say he had in all that talent. But he had an absolute wealth of talent, of identifying and cultivating talent at Southampton. That we talked about last week on the podcast. We talked about how crazy those rosters were.
Well, I think mostly with what it was at Southampton, it was he was willing to take chances for youth. It's like the Southampton Academy just exists. It exists outside the first team and the first team manager, but he was willing to see those players and give them a chance, right?
Yeah,
and that's the thing.
That's the thing, and he did it, and I think that's something that Chelsea should be excited about. For as much as we give. For as much as we give Brad crap about Cobham and how much he claims that they, according to Brad, a third of Europe's big six went to Cobham.
According to Brad, it's the greatest academy that's ever existed.
He just claims everybody that ever stepped foot on that facility. Like
if they had a trial at Chelsea, he's claiming them.
But no, if that is as half as good as what Brad says it is, Pochettino's going to thrive
And,
there.
and let's be honest. Chelsea is at this point a very big footballing institution, especially in England and also
Yeah.
in Europe. So like they're going to draw kids into the academy, and so like they're always going to have a productive academy at this point as long as they continue to invest in it. And so Pochettino, as long as he's given time, as long as he is given the ability to make mistakes and not be successful right away. This was Graham Potter's Achilles heel at Chelsea, was that the fans never gave him a long enough time. It's the same thing that happened to Unai Emery at Arsenal, was that the fans didn't give the manager enough time. I think Graham Potter will probably ultimately succeed somewhere. Maybe he won't win the Premier League. Like maybe like that won't happen. But like he will be a consistent coach in the Premier League. Unai Emery is clearly showing that. Pochettino has shown that, and so I think that he has a bit of cachet kind of like built up. He's coached PSG. He was recruited to be a Barcelona manager. He ultimately didn't take it. Like he has a pedigree, and so you would hope that the Chelsea fans would realize that. And I think that there is a danger with if things are going south and things aren't looking great, then they could just look at him and be like, look at this Spurs, washed up Spurs scum. Like, oh, we can't, he's a Spurs manager, he can't manage. And then it gets toxic again. So maybe they could have gone a different route, kind of like what Spurs did with their manager appointment, and kind of take it out of left field a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I've done a little bit of research. I haven't dove
Yeah,
deep into
that's
this guy.
totally fair.
I've done enough to know his style. So the 2 points of emphasis that I noticed is he's going to take it. On paper, he's going to take it back to a four-man back. He seems to like a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. Or it seemed to be his two main. Which a 4-3-3 can be a 4-2-3-1
And that's a pretty
in
typical
disguise.
that's a
Yeah,
pretty typical modern footballing formation.
yeah. He seems to like high pressing and possession football. One stat that I saw in my research that he has of the past 20 years of Celtic managers, he has the highest average possession percentage,
Okay.
and that seems to be his style of play. His possession, I think it was something like 61 or 63% of his time in Celtic, they had the ball.
Wow.
And that, yeah, and it was high possession. Even he managed a Japanese team, Yokohama,
Yep.
um, before he managed an Australian team, and then eventually the Australian national team, I believe.
He did a lot in Australia. I just quickly pulled up his Wikipedia because I wanted to double check that he was the first Australian man to be appointed as a first team coach in the Premier League, and he is.
Oh
So
wow,
yeah, so
yeah, good for him.
Postacoglu is his name. But yeah, so he did a couple different teams in Australia. He was the Australian national team coach. He coached Yokohama, and then he was at Celtic for the last few years.
So take it with a grain of salt. It's a preseason game. Nobody's taking it seriously except for the poor team that the big team's playing. Um, but Yokohama managed more possession than Man City on their Japanese tour,
Oh wow.
their Asian tour when they played, and he was there. They had something like 57% possession against City,
Yeah, you
who was
don't
also a possession team.
yeah, you don't do that against City.
But they did. I looked at the rosters those days. Had Kevin De Bruyne was on the field. Stones, Laporte that were on the field. It was a few years ago. Um, didn't have Kyle Walker on the field. Didn't have their left back. Who I'm missing right now. It probably was Mendy at that point. They had Bravo in goal. So like it's a preseason tour. They're
Yeah.
not really
Yeah.
trying. Like I'm not take that with a grain of salt, but he did out possession the possession guy. So I'm excited. It seems like he plays up tempo pressing ball. That's the one thing when you ask me specifically what am I looking for? I'm looking for Thomas Frank. I'm looking for I'm looking for up tempo, in your face pressing
I mean,
football.
that's the thing about football is you can excuse not winning. Okay, the point of football is to win.
Yeah,
You want to win games and you want to win trophies. That is the main purpose. But if you're not doing that, then you have to be entertaining to watch and you have to be fun to watch.
yeah.
If you are both not fun to watch and not winning, then it's very, very frustrating. You will accept not fun to watch if you are winning and you are
Yeah.
winning trophies. And that's kind of been Spurs' issue over the last 3 years since Pochettino left, is that it's been string after string after string of defense-minded coaches who are like solely interested in being defensively resolute.
Well, the thing with the three defensive guys we got, where it's backline defensive,
Yes.
whereas Pep and Klopp and this guy and Slot all seem to be midfield defensive. We want to press you before you get to our backline.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
want the backline to be sound, but we don't want to sit back and wait for that to happen. We want to attack you in the middle of the field.
Yeah. Which is kind of the more
And
modern approach to football right now. As
yeah,
it's the most successful approach to football in the modern game.
it makes the most sense because why would you not do that? Why would you leave your backline as the time you choose to play defense when there's no one else to stop them if you make it through there?
And also, if you're playing a high pressing style, you are also your defenders are playing closer to the halfway line, and so
Yeah.
you're squeezing the space in which when you lose the ball, so when you're in possession, your defending line is much higher, and so if you lose possession, you're compressing the team that's trying to break out into 40 yards or so. And all of your players, with the exclusion of your goalkeeper, of course, are in that area, occupying that space, making it difficult for you to find passes. And so the idea is just to like overwhelm and make it difficult for you to progress the ball and to pass it so that you end up turning it over. Whereas like in a more traditional old school style, your defenders are like maybe halfway up, maybe halfway into like halfway
It's
away from
outside
their
the
goal.
box.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they're not getting very far away from their especially your center backs. Your center back, maybe your fullbacks might go bombing on occasion, but like your center backs are like maybe 40 yards away from their goal, maybe. And like they're never moving any further than that.
But it makes me think that maybe we should turn our eyes from Garvidal to maybe Laporte. There are rumors he's been given the green light to leave. Maybe
A
we go
word.
get Laporte. Yeah, maybe we go get Laporte, and Garvidal still wouldn't be bad. He's a mobile center back. That's somebody we would need to pair with Romero. Romero will be fine in a back four, back three. He doesn't he's going to be fine no matter what style is played.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting you're talking about center backs because there was a rumor about a certain center back that might be linked to Tottenham. I don't know if you heard about this, Sean. Did you hear about a certain center back from Manchester? It
Yeah,
wasn't Laporte.
yeah. If it's a center back who, unlike Romero, cannot play in a three-man back and cannot play in a four-man back. It is Harry Maguire.
um. Yeah. So
I just don't understand that signing unless the signing is he's Manchester United bad and he was good before and maybe he'll be good and he's good in England and maybe maybe it's just United, maybe it's just Old Trafford.
yeah, maybe he
Like,
doesn't have the
because
chips.
it's been well documented. We've given him his flowers when he's on England. He is fantastic when he's on England. He was fantastic at Leicester. Well, he was on Leicester, right?
I mean, yeah, like
Before.
yeah. I was upset when Arsenal didn't sign him. So
It was outside of being in a United jersey. He has been an excellent player.
I
So
would say,
maybe
I would
if he
say
just moves, he'll be fine.
I would say over the last 3 years or so, I think his England form has been, well, maybe last year. I think his England form has dipped with the precipitous dip in his United form. I think
It's probably just confidence, man. Just
yeah,
get into a new club,
probably.
have some friends. Especially if he does come to Tottenham and Harry Kane and Dyer are there. he's got his
Some
England.
homies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got some national team homies. Like, it would probably help him a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think as much crap as we give Maguire. I don't think if the price is reasonable, I don't think I'm turning that down just on a flyer.
Yeah. I mean, and it depends on what the
If
wages are.
it's
It depends how long the deal is.
15, 20, 15, 20 mil, and we get him on about 150 a week. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a reasonable backup.
As
That's a
long as,
reasonable backup
yeah,
center back.
as long as it's something that, like, if it's not working out, you can move him on and he's willing to move on as well, then yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I see here that
Is it
you
time?
have, it's time. It's time for some outlandish predictions.
Seanstradamus has brought in Seanstradamus way too early. 23, 24 predictions.
Ooh,
I was trying to get
way
not
too
get
early. Yeah. Don't show me. Don't show me.
way too early. So number one on this list,
Okay, I'm fresh here. I haven't heard any of these yet, guys. So,
he has not heard any of these, dear listeners. Brighton will make the Euro semifinals.
oh, Brighton is going to be wait, hold on. Let me quickly back this up because
Europa semifinals.
so in the semifinals of the Europa League this year were 3 teams that dropped out of the Champions League and Roma. And you're saying that of next year that Brighton, who start in the group stage, is going to make it to the semifinal.
I have foreseen it. It will come at the cost of their domestic production, though. They will not finish top half.
Oh wow. This is West Ham. This is West Ham this year.
This is the West Ham all over, but in Europa.
All right. Okay.
All right. Number 2.
All right.
Holland will not win the Golden Boot next year.
Is he gonna get injured?
Nope. Isak will.
Okay. I think that's wrong. I'm just gonna throw that out there, Seanstradamus. I don't think you're gonna get that one right. I think you're
that one I'm getting right.
I think you're 0 for 2 right now.
No, Isak will win because he was on an absolute torrid pace, hurt his knee, came back a little quickly, took him a little while to get rolling, and then towards the end of the season was tearing it up. So you can't tell me if he's fully healthy, he's not right there with Kane. And Holland's not going to have the same year again. He had like 20 through 10 through the first 10 games of the year and then cooled off. He's not going to have the same year next year.
Alexander Isak, how many did he finish with last year?
Probably 12, 15.
Callum Wilson. I'll just go by Newcastle. Miguel Almiron. He had 10 goals and 2 assists, tied for 18th.
10 goals out of probably 15 games.
I don't know. I'd have to go. I'd have to go look. I'm not. Oh no. 10 goals and 2 penalties. Wow, so Harry Kane got to 30. Wow, impressive. No, he had 10 goals, but 2 of them were penalties. Is what that's telling me.
Harry Kane didn't get to 30.
Yeah, he did.
He was finished at 26 league goals.
No.
Are you on the APL website?
Premier League. I'm on worldfootball.net. Top scorers, Premier League.
I think that's all competitions.
No, I don't. I'm gonna double check on the Premier League website, but Harry Kane did get to 30. Did get to 30 goals.
Oh well.
Yeah, Harry Kane 30.
Ordinarily would be an extraordinary year. Unfortunately, not even close to the Golden Boot. Anyways, I'll lament again. This is the one that I thought that you would feel is most egregious.
Okay, I felt that the first 2 were pretty egregious, if I'm being honest.
This one is going to be the most egregious.
All right.
So this past season, we saw all 3 promoted teams stay up. That will happen again. For
You're
the second year in a row.
smoking crack. There is 0 chance. Okay, hold on. So you're telling me that Burnley, Sheffield United, and Luton Town will be in the Premier League next year?
The only one
year from now.
When I was cranking these out, I told Brittany this one's the most risky because we had Sheffield come up a few years ago
and they went
quite nearly broke the record for least points scored.
I think they were the fastest relegated team of all time.
Yes. And then we have Luton Town, who has visiting fans entering through neighbors' yards.
I think I think Luton Town is a bridge too far.
That is that that's my most egregious one. But that's happening. 2 years in a row, all three relegated teams are
There's
staying up.
well, okay, well then that begs the question: who's getting relegated? Like, I know maybe Seanstradamus didn't foresee this, but if those three are staying up, like who's going down?
That's a fair question.
Like
And I will
Everton, Forest, Bournemouth, Wolves, Chelsea.
it will
Um,
be Bournemouth,
okay.
Forest,
I think you got like two choices between like Wolves or Everton.
Bournemouth, Forest, and West Ham.
Oh, and West Ham. Oh my goodness. All right.
A bad team is about to get pillaged.
That is true. Okay, West Ham is about to lose a lot of players. That is a fair point.
All right.
Okay, and what's number four?
Here's my final one. This one's the least smoking hot take.
All right.
Burnley will finish top half.
I I don't have a lot of confidence in that one either. Um,
That's why they're the way too early picks.
That is true. That is true. They are the exceedingly too early Seanstradamus picks, so we won't necessarily hold them against Seanstradamus. Now, if by some divine intervention Seanstradamus is proven right in these four predictions, I think we need to go play the lottery.
To be honest with you, if I get one of them,
yeah,
I'll be happy.
And it's gonna be like if I get.
I don't think any of these are too off base. Brighton are a really good team. De Zerbi's a really good manager.
That one doesn't seem. That one doesn't.
No, I feel like they're gonna West Ham it. They're just gonna all in for the Europa. We've never been here before. Let's make some noise. Like, let's just go for it.
Maybe.
And they're gonna be ready to play every night in Europe.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe.
Isak, Newcastle are probably going to get better around him. Let's be honest.
And that's really what matters. It's not necessarily about the player that's putting the goals in. It's about the assisting, the passing.
And he looked great before his knee injury. He kind of came back a little slow. Then he looked great after. Like, give him a full offseason to get healthy. And he gets a year older. He's probably going to be better, and he's going to have better people around him.
But is he going to have Manchester City level players around him? That's my biggest hang up. Is he going to have Kevin De Bruyne behind him?
Yeah. The only thing is he doesn't have Kevin De Bruyne feeding him balls. But
right?
All three teams.
That's wild. That's absolutely wild. That one's not happening. There's no chance.
This year, Bournemouth, Nottingham, and Fulham all stayed up. Fulham was top half.
It did happen. Well, yeah, that's true.
We had no promoted teams went down this year.
Okay. Well, loyal listeners, friends of the podcast, I think you guys should chime in the comments below about your confidence in Seanstradamus at this point and your confidence in his ability to be predictive.
I have a feeling that Joel's going to like one of them.
Yeah, maybe one of them. I mean, if Isak is the Golden Boot winner next year, then that means that Newcastle probably have had an exceedingly good year. Because if you have a goal scorer and you get above, if your singular goal scorer gets above 30 goals, it's probably going to be good for you. Like it's probably, now it wasn't true for Spurs this year, but it's normally a very good indication that you've had a very good season. But we're gonna just pop down here to the Champions League final. Just kind of quickly talk about that Champions League final and the Conference League final. So Conference League first, actually, we've got Fiorentina and West Ham United. That is today, as you guys are listening. It was yesterday if you're listening to this on Thursday. And if you're on Friday, you should watch this podcast when it comes out. I mean, I'm just saying. Maybe Declan Rice's last game for West Ham. Maybe David Moyes' last game as the coach at West Ham. maybe Lucas Fabianski's final game at West Ham. They've got a lot of moving parts here. So like this could be like the last dance for this iteration of West Ham. I would ask you if you like their chances against Fiorentina, but you are of the opinion that Fiorentina is a club of electricians and farmers. So I'll give you 10 red card radio bucks if you can tell me what city they're from.
They're from Fiorentina.
They're from Florence.
Florence. Yeah.
Okay. So City Inter. City get the treble opportunity. Inter could do a cup double, I guess, because they won the Cup Italia. It should be a good one. That's going to be on Saturday. So that's on Paramount Plus. You definitely don't want to miss it. I think technically I'm rooting for City. I wouldn't mind seeing them do the triple. It makes me feel better. The treble. It makes me feel better about Arsenal losing to them in the Premier League. So that's just my point. And I don't like Inter.
I'm with you. We're hammers up and City's up. We might as well win 2 of them.
All right.
We're not.
Yeah, so I think that's all we got for you guys tonight. Definitely check out the Champions League, and we will have something for you next week. We'll probably be going over the sheets of integrity next week and getting some points on the board. So we will have to see that. Hit us up on Twitter. That guy's at @whiteheart_Sean. I'm at James Tiffany, collectively redcard_radio. And check back next week. We will have something for you. Have a good one. Good night.